In this video, we will review what we know about angle pairs and parallelograms. So let's dive right in. Problem number one, in each part of this question, the measure of one angle is given. Find the measure of the other angle. The angles are congruent. So 84 degrees, and then the other angle would be also 84 degrees, because that's what it means to be congruent. They're going to have the same measure. Angles that are complementary. If they're complementary, they have to add up to 90. So if I want to find the other angle, I'm going to go 90 minus 84. Okay, so that's going to be 6 degrees, really tiny angle there. But that's what it means to be complementary. Okay, if they're going to be supplementary, they have to add up to 180. So I would need to do 180 minus 84 to find the other angle. Okay, so that's going to be 96 degrees. Problem number two, fill in the blanks based on the diagram. Blank and blank are right angles. All right, so we're looking for 90-degree angles. So for example, maybe I'll use my highlighter pen for this. This is a right angle. Okay, and so that would be angle AFB. And this angle is also a right angle. And that would be angle BFD. Okay, now, angle BFC and what are supplementary? So angle BFC, so I'm going to trace from B to F to C. So that's angle BFC. Now, supplementary means they have to add up to 180. Okay, in fact, these two are very similar to each other. Because if I say two angles are supplementary, then they are going to form a linear pair. Or if I say they're going to form a linear pair, you know they're going to be supplementary. These two go hand in hand. So I'm really looking for some type of a linear pair, because that's what it takes to be supplementary. So with that in mind, I need to extend this line straight out, all right, because that's going to make a straight line. So these are the two angles though. I have my original angle here, and then I've got this new angle over here. Okay, here I'll highlight it some more. So this purple angle is the other angle. So we have angle BFC and angle BFE. Okay, the purple angle. Okay, BFE. So it's going to be almost the same thing for the next one. Angle EFA. Okay, so I'm going to trace from E to F to A. And what angle form a linear pair? So here again, I need to make a straight line. Okay, so I think there are two choices this time. I could extend this line, okay, and that would make this the answer. So angle AFE and angle DFE. Let me write smaller, hold on. So I could say angle DFE. Okay, so that's one way I could have done it. But I also could have made a straight line by extending this line. All right, see how it also makes a straight line? So in that case, this is the new angle. Okay, that will form a linear pair. So I also could have said, or I'll just squeeze it in here, or angle CFA. All right, two possible answers to that one. Okay, angle CFD. So I will trace from C to F to D. That's angle CFD. And what are vertical angles? Well, vertical angles are what you get when you have just two intersecting lines. So I'm going to extend both of these lines so I can see what the vertical angles are. So here, do you see I have an intersecting line? I have one line intersecting another. So that creates this pair of vertical angles. So I've got the CFD, but now I've got angle AFE. Okay, so here's kind of a word bank of angle pairs. Now let me switch over to some notes here that you really want to commit to memory. Let me zoom out a little bit so I can fit a little bit more onto the page. All right, so here are the four most important ones because they control whether or not lines are parallel. So angles like X and Y that are in the same position, like lower right and lower right, those are corresponding angles. Angles like these are alternate interior. Angles like these are alternate exterior. And angles like these are consecutive interior. Now, if the lines are parallel, only if the lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. In other words, X equals Y. Alternate interior angles are congruent. And alternate exterior angles are congruent. So these three are congruent only if the lines are parallel. If the lines are parallel, consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Okay, memorize that. Now, the following ones do not depend on parallel lines. Okay, so in fact, I'm going to sort of blot this out if I can. Didn't go big enough. Okay, because linear pair and vertical angles have nothing to do with vertical lines. All right, so a linear pair looks like this, for example. A linear pair will be supplementary regardless of whether or not we have parallel lines. In vertical angles, again, it has nothing to do with lines being parallel. When you have intersecting lines, you have vertical angles. And they will always be congruent regardless of whether or not lines are parallel. So these cannot be used to prove that lines are parallel. These four can. If I notice that alternate interior angles are congruent, then I have just proven that the lines are parallel. All right, same with the rest of these. Okay, so basically now we're writing down what I just said. Which angle pairs are congruent? Okay, well, that's these three for sure. Corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior angles. Okay, but then there's also, hold on, technical difficulties. There's also vertical angles are also congruent. All right, now what about supplementary? We know that a linear pair is supplementary. But we also know that consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we got them all. None of these angle pairs are complementary, so that should just be blank. Find the value of x and show your work. Okay, and then also, by plugging in, find each angle measure. All right, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, these angles are supplementary. We've got a linear pair on our hands. So that means they should add up to 180. So that's why we will do 5x plus 2 plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 180. Okay, now combining like terms, we're going to have 8x plus 4 is equal to 180. Subtracting 4 from both sides, we're going to have 8x is equal to 176. And then we need to divide both sides by 8. So that's 22. Okay, now that we know that x is 22, we should be able to find the angle measures. Okay, so this first angle should be 5 times 22 plus 2. So that's going to be 112. All right, the other angle, we should be able to just subtract from 180, or we could plug in 22 again. But I should be able to go 180 minus 112. So that'll be 68. All right, so 112 and 68. All right, see how these two angles are nestled inside of a 90-degree angle? So they must add up to 90. So that's why I'm going to say 4x plus 10 plus x is equal to 90. Okay, combining like terms, that's going to give me 5x plus 10 is equal to 90. Subtracting 10 from both sides, that gives me 5x is equal to 80. And then you divide both sides by 5. So I think this is 16. Okay, so x is equal to 16. Now that we know that x is equal to 16, we should be able to find the angle measures by plugging back in. So this is just x, so that means this is definitely 16. Now, I could put 16 in for x, or I could subtract from 90. I could just do 90 minus 16. So that's 74. So that means this angle over here must be 74. Together they make 90. So 74 and 16. Okay, number 6. Well, let's just take 2 at a time. These angles are vertical angles. So I know that they will be equal to each other. So I should be able to do 6x minus 20 is equal to 4x plus 16. Subtracting 4x from both sides gives me 2x minus 20 is equal to 16. All right, adding 20 to both sides gives me 2x is equal to 36. So if I divide both sides by 2, I get x equals 18. So now that I know that x equals 18, I should be able to find the angles by plugging in 18. Okay, well, it's funny, they only put 2 angle measures. Well, I guess maybe because they're saying these two are the same. So if I go ahead and plug in the 18 right here, for example, so that's going to be 6 times 18 minus 20. All right, so that's 88. All right, so this angle is 88, which means that this angle is also 88. Whoops. All right, but it's time to figure out what the other angle is. Well, just pick either one of these linear pairs. So, for example, if you look at this straight line that is being split up into 2 angles, all right, linear pairs. So, I should be able to find out what this angle is by subtracting from 180. So if I do 180 minus 88, okay, that is going to be 92. Okay, so that means this angle is 92 degrees. All right, so they didn't actually ask me to find y. So technically, I don't have to find y. I found x, and then they want the 2 angle measures, and they are 88 and 92. So technically, I'm done. If they did ask me to find y, which would be a totally valid thing to ask, then I know that y minus 15 must equal 92. So that's what I would do. I would say y minus 15 must equal this 92. All right, they're in the same spot. And so I would simply add 15 to both sides. So that's going to give me 107. All right, so they didn't ask me for that, but we could have found it. Oh, ha! I didn't read ahead. I guess in problem number 7, they're asking us to look back and find y, but I already found it. So hopefully you can just look over and see what I just did over there. So y minus 15 was equal to the 92. And as you saw in the previous problem, I add 15 and I get y is equal to 107. So y is equal to 107. And so I've got 92, and the other angle we already know is 88. All right, number 8 refers to this picture. We're supposed to name the angle pairs. So angle 3 and angle 7. So here's angle 3 and here's angle 7. So those are called alternate interior angles. So alternate interior. Okay. angle 7 and angle 6. All right, these are called consecutive interior angles. All right, angles 1 and angle 5. These are alternate exterior angles. All right, angle 3 and angle 1. These are called corresponding angles. Okay, problem number 9, we're supposed to know that line P and line Q, the lines are parallel. All right, for this problem, the lines are parallel. And this problem involves angle 8 and angle 6. All right, so here's angle 8 and here's angle 6. These are corresponding angles, so they should be congruent. So that means that they should equal each other. So 8x plus 4 should equal 5x plus 55. Let's get these variables together first off by subtracting. So that'll give me 3x plus 4 is equal to 55. Next, you want to subtract, you want to subtract 4 from both sides. So that'll give me 3x equals 51. Then you want to divide both sides by 3. That's 17. Okay, so that's it for number 9. All right, number 10. Number 10 involves angle 2 and angle 3. Okay, these are consecutive interior angles. Angles like these will not be congruent, except for unless they both happen to be 90. But they will be supplementary. They have to add up to 180. So that's why I'm going to set up my equation this way. 3x plus 32 plus 7x plus 8. Those should equal 180. All right, supplementary. Now, combining my like terms, all right, the 3x and my 7x, those are like terms. And, all right, the 32 and the 8, those are like terms. So I'm going to get 10x plus 40 is equal to 180. So continuing to solve this, I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. So that's going to give me 10x is equal to 140. So then if I divide both sides by 10, I end up with x equals 14. Okay, if we are told that angle 1 and angle 5 are congruent, can we prove that the lines are parallel? Before I even look to see what they are, Okay, let's review the notes that we spoke of earlier in the video. Okay, now these properties, hold on, technical difficulties. These properties are only true if the lines are parallel. All right, corresponding angles are congruent only if the lines are parallel. Alternate interior angles are congruent only if the lines are parallel. Alternate exterior angles are congruent only if the lines are parallel. And consecutive interior angles are supplementary only if the lines are parallel. So if it's any of these, I can use these facts to prove that the lines are parallel. Right? Or I can prove that they're definitely not parallel. If these are not equal, or if these are not supplementary, then I will know for a fact that the lines are not parallel. Now, if it turns out to be a linear pair or vertical angles, that proves nothing about parallel lines. So if it turns out to be either one of these, I'm going to say nope, tells me nothing. All right? Because linear pairs are always supplementary no matter what. Vertical angles are always equal no matter what. So let's look up at 1 and 5 and see what they are. Okay, so here's angle 1 and here's angle 5. Okay, those are alternate exterior angles. All right, so those should be congruent if the lines are parallel. Okay, so only if the lines are parallel. So if those are congruent, then that does prove that the lines are parallel. But we need to say this out in a couple of complete sentences. We will say yes. All right, can we prove that their lines are parallel? Yes, because alternate exterior angles are only congruent if the lines are parallel. Okay, that's what you need to write. All right, what if we're told that angle 6 is 89 degrees and angle 7 is 91 degrees? Can that prove that the lines are parallel? Okay, let's see. Angle 6 and angle 7. Let's see what they are. Okay, these are consecutive interior angles. These should be supplementary if the lines are parallel. Okay, so if I look and I see that they are supplementary, then I'll say yes. If I look and I see that they are not supplementary, then I'll say no, they are definitely not parallel. Okay, so are these supplementary? Yes, these are supplementary. If we add 89 plus 91, that is equal to 180 degrees. They are supplementary. So we will say yes because, all right, and those were consecutive interior angles. So are only supplementary if the lines are parallel. Boom. Okay. Given that AB is the angle bisector of angle DAC. All right, so angle bisector. Angle bisector means that it's cutting a larger angle into two equal halves. So these two parts are equal, like half equals half. Okay, so now what are they telling me? Angle DAC is equal to 8x minus 18. So look, we have these pieces, but then we are told that the whole thing is 8x minus 18. So 8x minus 18. Whoops. Okay, that's the whole thing from here to here is 8x minus 18. So what we have is a half, and we have the whole thing. And what we've learned, and what our common sense tells us, is that 2 halves equal a whole. So that means 2 times 3x plus 12 should equal 8x minus 18. Okay, so a little distributive property here, that's going to give me 6x plus 24 is equal to 8x minus 18. Subtracting 8x from both sides, all right, that'll give me negative 2x plus 24 is equal to negative 18. All right, subtracting 24 from both sides will give me negative 2x is equal to negative, let's see, 42. Negative 42. And then dividing both sides by negative 2 will give me x equals 21. All right, so x is equal to 21. So now, what is the measure of angle DAB? All right, angle DAB is half. Okay, so now that I know that x is 21, I can just do 3 times 21 plus 12. So that's 75. Okay, so this angle is 75. That means the other angle over here must also be 75. And that means the whole big angle must equal 150. All right, I'm just doing 75 plus 75. Okay, so the big old angle is going to equal 150. Boom. Okay, so angle DAB, that's a half, so that's going to be 75. Angle BAC, that's a half, so that's also 75. And angle DAC is the whole, which is 150. Number 14, given M is the midpoint of AB. First, let's draw that. So AB is a segment, so you go ahead and draw your segment AB, something like this. So there's AB. And then they tell you M is the midpoint, so right in the middle, there's point M. So if M is the midpoint, of course, that means that these two segments are congruent. Now let's break it down. So AM is 5x. So that means this distance right here is 5x. Let's see. BM is 3x plus 18. So this is segment BM. So that is going to be 3x plus 18. When you're dealing with segments and bisectors or midpoint, there are really only two possibilities. Either these are going to be equal to each other, or you're going to have a half and a whole, and we'll say 2 halves equal a whole. So, is this a 2 halves equal a whole situation, or is this a half equals half situation? Alright, clearly this is a half equals a half situation. So these should simply equal each other, so we will say 5x equals 3x plus 18. Subtracting that 3x from both sides, we get 2x is equal to 18, and then dividing both sides by 2, we get x is equal to 9. Okay, and then there's some other stuff we're supposed to find. So x is equal to 9, great. How about AM? Well, AM is 5x. Okay, so I feel like I should switch colors. Okay, so since AM is 5x, then that's going to be 5 times 9. So that's going to be 45. So AM is 45. Okay, what about MB? Well, I guess I could plug in 9 again, but these two sides are equal. So if the left side is 45, you know that the right side must also be 45. So MB must also be 45. And then AB. Well, AB is the whole thing. So that should be 45 plus 45, or 45 times 2. So that's going to be 90. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.